Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Tour of Verbs. We have completed the introduction part 1 and part 2 of this series. In part 2 we have seen the main verbs, different forms of main verbs, how they are used with some examples. This video is very much related to the previous one. So if you have not watched part 2 on main verbs, please click the thumbnail here and watch the video before continuing here. Well, this video, that is part 3, is on auxiliary verbs, specifically about the first subcategory of auxiliary verbs called primary auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are called as helping verbs or supporting verbs. What do they support? What do they help? Whom do they help? Primary auxiliary verbs help the main verbs. Main verbs are the action words and auxiliary verbs are going to supply some details to the main verbs to make the sentence meaningful. Main verbs are simply the actions. Sometimes they do not tell how many people are doing that work and when the work is done. So, in such cases it becomes very important that we take the help of other words called as primary auxiliary verbs. Primary auxiliary verbs basically supply these two pieces of information, that is, whether the work is being done by one or many people, or secondly, it also tells us whether the work is being done now or previously done. So, to indicate this, we have many auxiliary verbs here. They are grouped in three groups. The first group is called as the B group. In the B group, we have the primary auxiliary verbs is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Is, are, was, were, be, being, been. In this video, we are going to just see is, are, was, were for our easy understanding, so that when we go on to the tenses video, we are going to understand be, being and been. Well, let us look at the first group, that is B group. In that B group, is, are, was, were. All these four primary auxiliary verbs are used to indicate a continuing action. Continuing action, when you recall the part 2 main verbs video, there we had V4 form, which is continuous action, which is called as present participle form, ing form, ing form, jump, jumping. Now this B group, is, are, was, were, these four auxiliary verbs are used with ing form verbs. That is, these are used with past participle forms. That is jumping, are jumping, was jumping, were jumping. I can just say Rodriguez is jumping. Now look at this sentence. If I just say jumping, if I just use main verb, it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't tell who is jumping. Even if I said Rodriguez jumping, it doesn't make any sense because whether Rodriguez is one person or is it many people, we do not know, because Rodriguez ends with yes, it may be multiple people or multiple objects as well. Then, and we do not know whether that jumping action is taking place now, is it going on now or was it going on earlier. So when we have the clarity, when we have to tell that Rodriguez is a single person and Rodriguez is jumping now, to indicate that we select out of these four is, was, is, are, was, were, we choose is. So is used for single person doing the action now, is. Are is used for many people doing the work now. Rodriguez and Matthew are jumping. We use the word are, jumping remains same. Then these are for presently continuing works. Rodriguez is jumping. Rodriguez and Matthew, two people, are jumping. So is used for singular and are is used for plural, but presently continuing actions. Now was and were. For example, if the action was going on in the past, then I can just say, when I went to his house, Rodriguez was reading a novel. Rodriguez was reading a novel, it indicates Rodriguez is a single person, and not now. When I went to his house yesterday, he was reading a novel. The action was continuing when I went and saw at his house. Lastly, we have the word were, W-E-R-E. When many people do a work and when that work is done previously in the past, when the work is going on in the past, then we use were. For example, Rodriguez and Matthew were doing a combined study. Doing is an action that was going on at that time. Rodriguez and Matthews were doing a combined study when I visited their house last week. This is how the first group, B group, under which we have is, are, was, were, these are used before the continuing actions or before the past participles ing forms to indicate an action that is going on. Is used for singular present, was is used for past and singular, are is used for present singular, and were is used for plural past. Moving on to the second group of auxiliary verbs called have group. Under have group we have only three auxiliary verbs which are have, has and had. Have, has and had are used always in combination with the V3 form of the verbs. If you recall, V3 form is also called as past participle forms. The words like jumped, hopped, given, taken, these words are V3 form verbs or past participle verbs. Why do we use this combination? To indicate what? This have group of auxiliary verbs are used with V3 forms to specify an action that is complete and indicating that another action will follow. For example, I can just say Rodriguez has given a pen to his friend. Rodriguez has given a pen. So here has is taken from this group 2 and given is taken from the V3 form words. Has given. Rodriguez has given a pen to his friend, which should be followed by another action, that is his friend will return tomorrow. So he has given. So here has and given, these two words are used in combination to indicate a completed action, but that action is expecting another action to continue. That is, the work of giving pen is complete, but the work of returning that pen is pending. So this is how we are going to use this. Then where to use has, have and had? Has, as we saw in this example, Rodriguez when he is a single person, and when the action is done and the next action is not done, then we should use this auxiliary verb has. When the person doer is only one and when the action is done but it is waiting for the next action, then we use the auxiliary verb has. When many people have done one action, completed one action, but that action is expecting another action that is still pending, second action is still pending, then we use have. How do we use it? For example, Matthew and Rodriguez have written the exam. Have written the exam. They are waiting for the results. So Matthew and Rodriguez, two people, multiple doers, many doers. If in case of multiple doers, we should use the word have, H-A-V-E, have, followed by again V3 form, written. Rodriguez and Matthew have written the exam and the next action is still pending. They are waiting for the results. So the process of waiting is going on. That is, they are waiting for the results. The next action is not complete. So here in this case we should use have. Now speaking about had. Had is called as past participle form. It is called as, it is an auxiliary verb used again with the past participle forms only. But here when we should use had, we should use had when two actions are also completed. But with the first action we should use had. For example, my friend had gone to London. He met his sister there. So my friend had gone to London. So one action. He met his sister. Meeting his sister is second action. Both actions are complete. But to indicate the first completed action, we use this had followed by this V V3 form of the verb. Gone is V3 form. Had is the word primary auxiliary verb. So we are using both of them. My friend had gone to London. He met his sister there. So this is how, when two actions are already completed, to indicate the first action, okay, we use this had with the V3 form of the verb. But if the first action is completed but the second action is still pending, then you should use either has or have, based on whether the doer is one person or multiple people. But in case of had, you don't have to worry. It is same for one person or multiple people. For example, if you say Rodriguez had gone to London, he met his sisters there. So even there we use the word had. But if multiple people went there, Rodriguez and Matthew had gone to London, they met their sister there. So even in that case we use the word had. So had has no confusion. In the past tense, there is no bifurcation between singular and plural. It happens only in the present tense. We have a last group of primary auxiliary verbs, that is the third group, called do group. In do group, again we have only three words. One is do, does and did. Do, does and did. These three auxiliary verbs are basically used for two reasons. One is to frame questions and another is to add emphasis, to add importance to some action in the sentence. For example, I can just say, I meet my friends every week. If I just make this sentence, I meet my friends every week, it's a simple sentence. Okay? But if I want to stress that without missing or without any exemptions, I make sure that I meet my friends. To say that, I can just add a word do here. I do meet my friends every week. If I add the word do after I and before meet, before the main verb meet, it adds an emphasis, a focus on that. I do meet my friends every week. This simply means, it is meaning wise it is same as I meet my friends every week, but it is adding more emphasis, more importance to that, to denote that there is no exemption to it. Okay? Then I can just say, she writes example. I can just say that will become a simple sentence, but if I add does here, that becomes more focused. She does write the example. If I add does, it focuses more on that. It says that without missing the exam, without any exemption, she writes well. She does write the example. Okay. Now, the second usage of this is again about asking questions. For example, if the sentence is I met her yesterday, I met her yesterday. If this sentence is there, if I want to frame question for this, I can just say, did you meet her yesterday? So I should use did because I met her yesterday. Yesterday is a past tense, so I should use did here. So, or I just say, I like coffee. If I say I like coffee, to ask a question, how do you ask? Do you like coffee? Do you like coffee here? So do, did and does are used for either asking questions or to add emphasis to that. And again, where do we use do, does and did? It's simple as in group 2 or group 1. When we have singular doer, one doer, we use the word does. Okay? She does write the example. So she does write the example, we use because she is the singular doer. If it is they do play well in every game. They do play well. They can just say they play well in every game. That is a simple sentence. They do play well in every exam. So the difference between does and do is, does is used when the doer is only one. She does write the example. Do is used when the subject is plural. They means many people, many doers. Then say they do play the game well. Then these are for present tense. For past tense, it is common word, that is did. Did is used both. Okay, he did achieve his goal. So remember, after did always you should use the present form of the verb, that is V1 form what we use, that should be used always. He did achieve his goal. Achieve is nothing but it is a V1 form, achieve. We should not say he did achieve his goal. So no, always after did we should use the present form of the verb. I would just like to add on to this. That is, most of the people commit mistakes by using did with again a past tense form of the auxiliary verb. That is, they say something like, I didn't saw him. No, did or didn't should not be followed by the past tense forms. It should be, I didn't see him. Secondly, they use do and does wrongly. That is, does should be always used with singulars and do should be always with plurals. For example, she does not know English, so it should be she doesn't know English, not she don't know English. Similarly, I and you should be always considered as plurals. So you must always use I do or I don't. You can just say I don't call you. So I can just say I don't, but you can't say I doesn't. That's wrong. Similarly, you should also be followed by do. You don't. It's not you doesn't. So these are the three rules that we should follow, and that avoids many of our mistakes. Hope this video helped in learning something, and we are going to meet with the next video on modals, which is a part of auxiliary verbs again. Thanks for watching. We'll continue the journey of the tour of verbs. Take care.